Okay, good morning. All right, so we are Hilchos Yom Tov, Tav Kuf Chaf Zayin. It's focused? Looks crooked. Okay. Kaf Gimel. Tav Kaf Gimel. Im Avar B'Meizid, and certainly B'Shogeg. If a person makes him, he cooks on Friday Yom Tov for Shabbos, and he doesn't have an Eruv, there's no Rav, there's no Eruv at all whatsoever where he is. He violated the takana, the log cabin. You're on your own, exactly. Ubishal kama kederos. Okay. Ubishal kama kederos shelo litzorech yom tov. And now you made a few different kederos, different pots of food that are clearly not for Yom Tov, and you had in mind they're only for Shabbos. That's what you're not allowed to do. So you did it already. That's the case. Person did it already. B'meizid or b'shogeg, mutar le'ochlan b'Shabbos o b'chol. You're allowed to eat the food on Shabbos or Yom Tov. Okay. Now we're going to explain. Now, fine. We'll just start saying the main purpose we would make a knas, Chazal would make a knas, is so that people don't learn from this person that you're allowed to do it, and that he doesn't continue doing it the next time. But a person is doing it b'shogeg or b'meizid, it's not going to help. B'shogeg, the guy made a mistake, and b'meizid, no one learns from a rasha, unless you want to. But that's not what we're worried about. So there's no reason to be gozer with the Yavid. Okay. Now I'll just point out that it happens to be a machloket rishonim. So the Rashba is very clear, it's 100% mutter. It's the Rambam who writes that it's a whole discussion in the Gemara. The question is, how do you paskin from the Gemara? So the Rambam says that you're not allowed to, you're only allowed to benefit this person who did it b'meizid. The only question is b'meizid. The only way a meizid is allowed to use it is if that's his only dish, and then he has nothing. And so one dish, or you're allowed to benefit. But if you make multiple different pots, then you already had food, then you can't. And I'll just point out the Mishnah Berurah says it. So if you have many pots that were all done be'isr, so and that's the case where he says tzarech iyun, and I think he would be machmer lachatchila, but it really depends on the situation, and he leaves it as a tzarech iyun. Okay. But anyways, obviously most of the time when this happens, it's done b'shogeg, because if someone who's mezid, we're not really discussing them, and they're not really asking you if they can eat it. Kaf Dalet. Im he'erim. Now this is worse. A person did harama. Harama is worse than doing it b'mezid. You're a frum guy and you're trying to cut loopholes. So if you do, now we're going to see it. It's only going to be usher if you do a pure, obvious, direct harama. But if you do a minor harama, that's what we learned yesterday, it's mutter. Now we're talking a pure harama. We'll see what we're talking about. Im he'erim levashal shtei kederos letzarech hayom. V'hotir achas letzarech machar asur le'ochla. So here, you did it b'mezid with a hara. You said, I'm going to cook 2 dishes, and you said it out loud, or you said it to yourself, that you're doing 2 dishes. I'm really doing them, and you're like saying out loud, but it could be mentally, I'm doing both of them for Yom Tov. And then like wink wink, you know that you're really doing one for Yom Tov and one only for Shabbos, and you don't eat from one of them. You only eat one. And like after you cook it, you go, you know what, I changed my mind that really I'm going to eat one now for Yom Tov, and I'm saving the other one for Shabbos. But you said before, you're doing both of them for Yom Tov, and you knew you weren't doing that.
This is in the case where we don't have an Eruv at all.
Right, again.
Not like yesterday's case where you had an Eruv, the Eruv got eaten.
Oh, you know what?
The food.
Doing harama, fine.
We had the harama yesterday.
I believe you're correct.
When we had the Eruv and the Eruv got eaten, so you can switch your food. This is when you don't have an Eruv at all, and now you decided, wink, you're doing 2 dishes, now we don't allow you to do it.
The minor harama which is allowed is if you made multiple dishes, and you said, I'm going to eat from each one on Yom Tov, and you do, Lamaisa you do, or you really, really intend to eat from each one on Yom Tov, but just a bite. Right. And you're going to save the rest for Shabbos. So that minor harama is mutter. Here is the entire pot is only, you say it's for Yom Tov, but you really know it's only for Shabbos, and you're not gonna touch it at all. That's the case where a person asks the rabbi, he's a from Yid, and he did a harama, and he thought, whatever, maybe you're allowed to do harama. So this is the case where we don't allow it. This is the case where there's a chashash that if we allow him to use it b'di'evid, then other people are going to learn from him how to make tricks and inappropriate loopholes, and he might come to do it again. He goes, oh look, it worked. I made a loophole. And the rabbi said I could eat it. So I'll make the same loophole next time. Because he's doing it l'shem, it's all l'shem shemayim. So that's the problem with ha'aramas. Okay. Did we do the next one? Now, when we say it's asr to eat it, you did a ha'arama. That's the case when it's clearly asr b'di'evid. So the halacha is it's asr for him and his family, and for everybody to eat from it on Yom Tov. What about after Yom Tov? Right away, Yom Tov is immediately afterwards. Can you eat it? So then, or it would be immediately after Shabbos, really. So then, according to, so the Mishnah Berurah writes, after Yom Tov, because that's the day you did it, Friday night, everyone could benefit. I'm not sure. But it might be Motzei Shabbos. I'll leave it as a question mark, but those are the words of the Mishnah Berurah. He says Motzei Yom Tov, you're allowed to use it right away, according to the Lavush. Could be others will say you have to wait till Motzei Shabbos. Then he quotes the Chamer Moshe, who says no, you have to wait till Motzei. He says everybody, including the one who did it, could benefit Motzei Shabbos. Again, it's a little question mark between different achronim. For the person himself, if it's asr just till Motzei Yom Tov or Shabbos, or it's asr for him forever, and for other people, it's either going to be mutter Friday night or Motzei Shabbos. Okay, next. Tav Kuf Kaf Chet. Dine Eruv Chatzeros b'Yom Tov. Now, what about Eruv Chatzeros? How does that play into Yom Tov? So we know the whole purpose of making Eruv Chatzeros and Shituf Mavayos is because we don't want people to do Hotza'ah, which is an Isser Deraisa, on Shabbos. But on Yom Tov we know, because Hotza'ah is mutter L'tzorech Ochel Nefesh, it's also mutter Shelo L'tzorech Ochel Nefesh. So we say, so in Aleph, it reads like this. Yom Tov ein tzarich Eruv Chatzeros v'Shituf Mavayos. The Shulchan Aruch Paskins, there's no din of Eruv Chatzeros and Shituf Mavayos. You don't need to do it. There's no, it's a bracha levatala. It doesn't exist. And so therefore, you're allowed to carry, even if you carry from one place to another. Now normally it's letzorech, so for sure there's no issues. And you're allowed to carry from one place to another without an Eruv Chatzeros. Fine. Aval Eruv Techumin Sarich. But there is still the din derabanan of Techumin. So you still can't walk. This is like, Eruv Chatzeros is about carrying. Eruv Techumin is about walking, in general. So there's still this din deraisa or derabanan, generally we say derabanan, of Eruv Techumin, even on Yom Tov, 100%. So if you want to go outside your Tchum, an extra 2,000 amos, you have to plan ahead. So Eruv Techumin Sarich. Alright. Now, the Mishnah Berurah, whatever, reminds us, we know the Ramah holds that Eruv Chatzeros you are chayev to do, even on Yom Tov. So if you're going to carry something for no reason, forget about muktzah issues, it's a problem. If there's a reason for it, so then again, it's mutter because you're allowed to carry. I think I'll agree you wouldn't say a bracha even according, because it's a machlokas. And therefore, just to be yotzei l'chumra, or to be yotzei the Ramah, if you're going to make an Eruv Chatzeros for a city, you do it once a year, once for a number of years. When you set it up, it's often done Erev Pesach, but whenever you do it, just have it in mind that it should include Eruv Chatzeros for, also for Yom Tov, not just for Shabbos. And it doesn't hurt, and you're Mekayim the Ramah. So, base. The end of Aleph is V'kol Hilchos Tchumin Yitbaru V'Hilchos Eruv Tchumin. Sorry. Want to look up Tchumin, look it up. Base. Yom Tov Shechal Yod Be'erev Shabbos Ein Me'arvin Lo Eruv Chatzeros V'Lo Eruv Tchumin. Now, let's say Yom Tov falls out on Erev Shabbos. You're not allowed to make an Eruv Chatzeros or an Eruv Tchumin. Right, because you're going to need Eruv Chatzeros for Shabbos, and you're going to need Eruv Tchumin for Yom Tov or Shabbos. But anyways, it's already Yom Tov. Yom Tov already started. Afilu im hiniach Eruv Tavshilin. Even if you made an Eruv Tavshilin for cooking and all those other preparations that you do, and you say, for all my needs, even though you made an Eruv Tavshilin, on Friday, Yom Tov, you cannot make an Eruv Chatzeros, and you cannot make Eruv Tchumin. So you're making it's like a tikkun, and you're not allowed to make takanas. Okay. Repair things. You're making something that's matzir you to do things. So that's asa. Aval, however, im nizkar biyom harishon mishnei yamim tovim shel Galios. This doesn't help us for Rosh Hashanah in Israel, but it does help us in Chutz La'aretz. If it's a 2-day Yom Tov, and it's Thursday, Friday, and then then Shabbos, and then you realize on Thursday, wait a second, I didn't.
Friday. You realize on the second day.
No. That's first. The first case is you realize on Thursday that you didn't make an Eruv Chatzeros for Shabbos. So on Thursday, what you could do, again, normally on Yom Tov, we don't let you do an Eruv Chatzeros. But what we allow you to do, even if you made an Eruv Tavshilin, but on Thursday you do have a way out. Because Yom Tov, we say it's a Sveika Dayoma, and we keep each day like a Safek. So then, on Thursday, Yachol La'arev Eruv Chatzeros B'Tanai. On Thursday, you're allowed to make an Eruv Chatzeros with a Tanai, without a bracha. Happens to be, it's a machlokas. I didn't believe it's a machlokas if you say a bracha. I believe it's a machlokas, but I would recommend not saying a bracha, because it could be you don't need to. I remember learning. It's definitely a machlokas, but fine. Let me keep reading. When it comes to Eruv Tchumin, there's no way out. You can't make it tonight, because you can't make. The way the Mishnah Berurah explains is it's a kinyan shvita. When it comes to Eruv Tchumin, it's all about making a kinyan where you are, and it's doma to a kinyan bayit, and you can never buy a house al tanai on Yom Tov. In other words, in general, both days Yom Tov, we consider them both days Yom Tov, and we don't start doing things and saying, well, if today's a real day, tomorrow's a real day, you start making contracts and business on either day of Yom Tov, just saying al tanai, whatever day it is. We're going to make it chal, whichever day is not really the real Yom Tov. So since you can't sell a house or sell things al tanai, you can't make a kinyan for Eruv Tchumin. Also, we know Eruv Tchumin is a little more chamor in some aspects, because it has a smach from a pasuk in the Torah. Granted, it's just an asmachta, but we treat it more strict. And you point out, but lechatchila, you can't make Eruv Tchumin, but if a person did do an Eruv Tchumin on one of the two, on Thursday, b'di'evid, or on one of the 2 days, it works b'di'evid. You're not allowed to do lechatchila, but it works b'di'evid. So
the 2 days, or
I believe on either one of the days. Because you're doing it for Shabbos, and for the next day, I believe either day, if you do it b'di'evid, it works. But anyways, you're not allowed to. And so the Tanai you would make on the first day, for Eruv Chatzeros, on Thursday, you basically are saying, well, if today's Yom Tov, I'm doing nothing. It's going to be Chal tomorrow. And then tomorrow you say, and then you say, I'm doing nothing. And then you say, what I'm setting up right now is Eruv, you're doing nothing. But if tomorrow is Yom Tov and today is Chal, then what I'm doing right now, and you set aside the food and you say the Nusach without the bracha, then you say today is, then now I'm making my Eruv if today is Chal. And then the next day you would do the opposite. Okay. Fine, let's go on. Tav, Kuf, Chav, Tet. Dinei Simchas Yom Tov. Alright, little Simchas Yom Tov. Aleph. Mitzvahs Yom Tov, L'chalko, the mitzvah of the Yom Tov is to divide it. Chetzio leBeit HaMidrash, v'chetzio la'achila u'shtiya. So, half to go to the Beis Medrash, and half for eating and drinking. Right? Two psukim, Atzeres Tielachem and Atzeres Lashem Elokecha. One is Chatzio Lachem, Chatzio Lashem, that's the Gemara. And so that's the division. And Mishnah Berurah says, the Chazanim should not go past Midyom, or shouldn't go for too long. That's, because you need to set aside time to enjoy your family with your food and enjoy. Okay.
We should show this halacha to the Chazanim before they start.
Right, and Dafka and Yom Tov, they often go extra long. I don't know. The Mishnah we know, the Brisa says, you come late to, we're about to read that, you come late to Shul on Yom Tov and you leave early on Yom Tov. It's supposed to, if anything, supposed to be shorter than Shabbos. Okay. And he says the best thing to do, food for thought is, the Mishnah Berurah is to get up early, perhaps nates, and daven early, finish really early in the morning, get a quick breakfast, and say Kiddush, a short breakfast, and then you learn until midday, so you get a nice chunk of a few hours, and you can do mincha, and then you enjoy the rest of the day with your family over food and whatever you enjoy together. Okay. The Al Yitzamtzim, the Shulchan Aruch continues, and you should not be stingy. The Hotzat Yom Tov, frugal, you should spend money on the day, on the food, on your clothing, etc. We're going to explain. V'tzarich lechavdu langul k'mo Shabbos, and you have to honor it and enjoy it like you do on Shabbos. And we know that what a person his parnasa is basically predetermined from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, and it's whatever you spend in general for Shabbos and Yom Tov is not you don't lose from it. Also from spending money on your kids' Talmud Torah, etc. And some of the things that we know that are extremely part of oneg and kavod for Yom Tov, just like Shabbos, it's you take a shower and hot water erev Yom Tov, you wear nice clothing. Right? In general, we say b'machal, mishta, ksus, nikia, and okay. And everyone should remind us, just like Shabbos, everyone should do something erev Yom Tov for Yom Tov. Not just leave it for one person in the family or for helpers that you pay. Everyone should take a physical part with something. And Yom Tov is included in V'karat Shabbos Oneg Dosh Hashem. It's called Mikra Kodesh, and it's a sefta that it's the sefta that we are from Torah's Kohanim. The Mishnah points out it's also the Machal Mishnah Ksus Nikia. I said, all right, now. Hagaz v'asur lechol mimincha u'lamala be'erev Yom Tov kamo b'Shabbos. Now, when it comes to erev Shabbos, so part of kavod Shabbos or kavod Yom Tov, it's the same thing. Is from 9.5 hours in particular. One should not sit down and have a big meal or perhaps any meal. And again, it's preferable. It's not an absolute isser, but this way it's important that you come to the table at night with a great appetite. Okay. Meal. Im erev Yom Tov Shabbos yachol l'kayim sudat shlishit v'yochal me'at pat l'kavod Yom Tov. But for Shalosh Shidduchos, if Yom Tov is on Saturday night, Sunday, so then on Shabbos, then you still should have sudat shlishit. Just eat a little bit. Obviously, if you plan ahead, the earlier you can eat it in the day, in the afternoon, is much better. But you're allowed to eat, just don't eat a lot. Okay? Mitzvah lalush pat be'erev Yom Tov, lichvod Yom Tov. Just like we make challah for Shabbos, it's a mitzvah to make your challahs also for Yom Tov. Kamo be'erev Shabbos, the same as Shabbos. Shulchan Aruch continues, V'chayav litzoa al shtei kikarot, and there's a mitzvah to say a bracha, to eat 2 loaves of challah. Again, 2. It's also zecher laman. Beis Yosef quotes the Rif, that the man that we know about on Shabbos is also the same story happened on Yom Tov. It didn't come down on Yom Tov, but the double portion came down on Erev Yom Tov as well. V'likboa kol seuda ala yain, and that a person should have every meal of Yom Tov. There should be wine in the middle of the meal as well that you drink the kavod of the day. And we know from other places also there's an Indian also to have basar, meat also. Okay? Big day Yom Tov you yoter tovim mishal Shabbos. And your clothing actually should be even more fancy and better on Yom Tov than on Shabbos. V'lo nagu lasod bo suda shlishit. And the minhag is not to make a suda shlishit on Yom Tov. In other words, there's no chiyuv. It's usually not done. But some achronim point out it's better to have, at least if you don't eat, either have some bread or to have some azonos or have some fruit. Okay? Let's continue. And here, what we mentioned before, it will be Yom Tov. On Yom Tov, me'achrin lavo lebeit knesset u'maharin letzeit. On Yom Tov, we want to go there late, either for the enjoyment or, as I think Mishnah Berurah quotes Rashi, that you have time to put your food on. Sometimes it takes a few hours for your food to cook. You're not necessarily doing a quick barbecue. So that you put on your food, you're busy with your food. In the morning, you put it on the stove so that it cooks while you're in shul and you need a little extra time. And you leave early so you have time to learn and time to be with the family. Mishum Simchas Yom Tov. Okay. Base. Chayav Adam liot sameach v'tov leiv b'moed hu v'ishta ubanav v'kol hanilvim elav. Okay. Now, there's a chiyuv. It's min haTorah. Samachta b'chagecha of Simchas Yom Tov, both for men and women and children. It's all the same. We should all be sameach v'tov leiv, and it's also a mindset. It's extremely important to physically make it happen and mentally make it happen. That on Moed, it's both Yom Tov, also Chol HaMoed. So for him, Ishto, Banav, and everyone that you can that somech on you, that's your responsibility. We're going to see more in a moment. Ketzad Nesamchan, how do you make them happy? So Aktanim noten lehem klayos ve'gozim. So in the olden days, it would be you just give them some nuts.
They were happy.
And they were happy with that.
The good old days when you got an almond and you were thrilled.
Exactly. Or roasted almonds, maybe popcorn. But that's about all they got, and they were thrilled. They were thrilled. Nowadays, even candies might not be enough. V'hanashim kona lehem begadim v'tachshitim. That never changed. Women, maybe it got worse. We don't know, but it didn't change. Women need their clothing and jewelry every Yom Tov. Kefi mamono, based on how much you can afford. Whether it's costume jewelry, plated jewelry, or the real deal, sterling. Or, anyways, v'chayav la'achil. Now, this is also a din min haTorah. V'chayav la'achil lager layatom v'lalmana im shar anim. You have to take care of financially the needy, converts. Those are orphans, widows, and anyone who's needy. And all of them we must take care of. Just real short from the Rambam. I won't quote word for word the whole thing, but basically it says, anyone who's noel dalte chatzero, you lock the doors of your fence, and you make sure that you eat with all of your family, and you're simcha, you're happy, you're enjoying, just with your best friends and your family, but you don't care about the aniyim and the people who are broken. It's not only money. Sometimes people need help. They're lonely, and you don't invite any of them, or you just totally disregard them. It's not a simchas mitzvah, but it's a simchas kreso, which is a real insult. It's a simcha of your stomach, and it's not considered and all of your korbanos are considered a tameh, and all of your simcha, it's just an embarrassment. And v'chule, and the Zohar talks about punishments, but again, you don't really need all that. It's really a pasuk in the Torah in a couple places that you have to take care of them. But sometimes we listen more to certain rabbis than to the psukim themselves. So it's good to have both. Gimel. Just the Ramah says, V'din tainis b'yom tov b'Shabbos. The din of a tainis is similar on Yom Tov and Shabbos, and that's also machlokas. Just on a Tanit Chalom, does it apply on a Yom Tov? Okay. Anyways, usually we don't do it, but that's a machlokas. Maybe Yom Tov you don't even have to.
That's an ask your local rabbi.
Right. Gimel. Adam ochel v'shota v'sameach beregel. A person has to eat and drink and be happy on the holiday. But this is the purpose. We already learned that part. But this is the new purpose. V'lo yimshach be'basar b'yayin. But don't overdo it with meat and wine, uvischok and laughter, too many jokes, v'kalos rosh, or frivolity, or making fun of people, lashon hara, etc. Lefi she'ein haschok v'kalot rosh simcha. That's not real simcha, and it's true. That's not real happiness. Just cutting a joke or making fun of someone. Ela halalos v'sichlos. It's just being silly and foolish, or being drunk, whatever it is. V'lolit stavinu ala halalos v'sichlos. There's no mitzvah on being foolish or silly. Ela al simcha sheyesh ba avodas hayotze. The only real simcha that we're commanded to do is if you're mesameach with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And you're sameach with the Kadosh Baruch Hu with being internally happy, and happy with your family, and happy with the poor people. You know what? We'll finish tomorrow. Huh? Read the last one? Okay, I'm going to read Dalet. Fine. And then we'll finish a couple points later. It's a mitzvah for Beis Din to set up police. But what kind of police? I don't know, Avrechim, rabbis or whatever. What kind of police? That they should go around the gardens and the Chatzerot and the rivers and the forests, or wherever people hang out, the parks. Shelo yidkabtzu sham le'echol v'lishtot anashim v'nashim v'yavo de'avera. So that there should not be men and women together, right? Intoxicated, eating, drinking, so that it doesn't lead to an avera. Thank you. V'chein yazhiru b'davar, and they should admonish or remind everyone. L'kol ha'am shelo yitarbu anashim v'nashim bevateim v'simcha v'lo yimshechu b'yayin. That men and women, if they're at the same table together, that they should not overdo it. But together, shema yavo de avera, so that Chatz v'Shalom should lead to an avera. Al yukulam kedoshim, but it's times for us to be kedoshim.